Long ago, in a kingdom surrounded by silver mountains and deep pine forests, lived a gentle queen. She loved to sit by her tall arched window during winter. One evening, snow drifted softly from the sky. As she stitched, the needle slipped and pricked her finger. A few drops of bright red blood fell onto the snow. The queen looked at the red against the white and whispered, "How beautiful this contrast is. I wish for a child with skin as fair as winter snow, lips as red as a rose, and hair as dark as the midnight sky." Not many months later, her wish came true. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Elara. But joy does not always stay long. When Elara was only a year old, the queen fell ill and passed away. After 2 years, the king remarried, hoping to bring warmth back into the palace. The new queen, Lady Seraphine, was breathtakingly beautiful. Beneath her graceful appearance lived a heart filled with pride and jealousy. She believed her beauty was her greatest power. In her chamber, she kept a tall enchanted mirror framed in gold and rubies. Every morning she would ask it, "Mirror of silver and light, tell me truly, who is the fairest in this kingdom tonight?" And every morning the mirror replied, "You, my queen, are the fairest of all." Those words pleased her greatly. Years passed, and little Elara grew into a graceful child. By the age of 8, her beauty had blossomed naturally. She was not only lovely in appearance, but kind in heart. Servants adored her gentle manners. Birds rested on her windowsill, and flowers seemed to bloom brighter when she passed. One morning, as Lady Seraphine stood before her mirror and asked her usual question, the mirror responded differently. "You are beautiful, my queen. It is true. But Princess Elara is far more radiant than you." The queen's face turned pale with rage. "Impossible," she hissed. But the mirror never lied. Jealousy began to consume her. She could no longer bear the sight of Elara's innocence or hear the praise spoken about her. Each compliment felt like a dagger in her heart. At last, she called for the royal tracker, Rowan. In a cold voice, she ordered, "Take the girl deep into the ironwood forest. Make sure she never returns. Bring me proof." Rowan obeyed, though his heart felt heavy. He led Elara far beyond the castle walls, into a forest thick with towering trees and shadows. When they reached a lonely clearing, he drew his dagger. Elara looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. "Please," she said softly, "if I have done wrong, forgive me. I do not wish to die." Rowan's hands trembled. He could not harm the innocent princess. Instead, he lowered his blade and said urgently, "Run. Go deeper into the forest and never return to the palace. Your life depends on it." To deceive the queen, he hunted a wild stag and took a token back as false proof. Meanwhile, Elara ran through the forest, branches scratching her arms, tears streaming down her face. The woods grew darker as evening approached. Strange sounds echoed between the trees, and fear wrapped around her. After hours of wandering, she saw a faint golden light flickering ahead. She followed it and discovered a small cottage nestled between 7 tall oak trees. Smoke curled gently from its chimney. Exhausted and hungry, she knocked but received no answer. Slowly she stepped inside. The cottage was tidy but tiny. There were 7 wooden chairs around a table, 7 plates, 7 cups, and along the wall, 7 neatly made beds. Her stomach growled. She tasted a small bite from each plate and took a sip from each cup, careful not to finish any completely. Then she lay down on one of the beds, but it was too firm. Another was too short. Finally, the 7th bed felt just right. Within moments, she fell asleep. Not long after, the cottage door creaked open. 7 miners returned from their day in the Crystal Hills. They were not dwarfs, but rather small, hard-working brothers. Their names were Alder, Bram, Cedric, Dane, Ellis, Finn, and Gideon. They immediately noticed something was different. "Who has been sitting in my chair?" asked one. "Who tasted my stew?" asked another. When they reached the beds, they found Elara fast asleep. "She looks harmless," whispered Alder. "Let us hear her story before judging." In the morning, Elara woke startled, but quickly told them everything. The brothers listened carefully. Moved by her kindness, they offered her shelter. "You may stay," said Gideon, "but promise to keep the door locked when we are away. Danger may follow you for many months." Elara lived peacefully. She cooked, cleaned, sang softly while sweeping, and waited each evening for the brothers to return. Laughter slowly returned to her life. But back at the palace, Queen Seraphine once again asked her mirror the question she feared. The mirror replied, "Elara lives still, beyond the eastern ridge, in a cottage among 7 miners, and she remains more beautiful than you." The queen's fury burned brighter than ever. "If others fail," she muttered, "I will do it myself." Disguising herself as a traveling merchant, she journeyed to the forest carrying a basket of colorful silk scarves. She knocked gently on the cottage door. Elara remembered the warning, but the woman's voice sounded kind. She opened the window slightly. "Such a lovely girl," crooned the disguised queen. "Allow me to tie this beautiful ribbon round your hair." Trusting her, Elara allowed it. But the ribbon had been enchanted. As soon as it tightened, Elara collapsed. When the brothers returned, they quickly untied the ribbon and revived her. "You must never trust strangers," they warned. Enraged at her failure, the queen created a silver hairpin dipped in sleeping poison. Once again disguised, she returned. This time she convinced Elara to try the glittering pin. The moment it touched her hair, she fell unconscious again. The brothers saved her once more. The queen realized she needed something final, something irreversible. She prepared a shining crimson pear, poisoned only on one half. Disguised as a farmer's wife, she visited the cottage again. "I will not open the door," Elara insisted. "No need," said the woman sweetly. "See, I will cut it in half. I shall eat this side, and you may have the other." Satisfied, Elara took a bite. The poison worked instantly. She fell silently to the ground. When the brothers returned, nothing they did could wake her. She looked peaceful, as though asleep, but she did not breathe. Heartbroken, they placed her in a crystal coffin upon a hill covered in white lilies. Day and night, one of them stayed beside her. Weeks later, a young prince named Lucian was traveling through the region. He saw the coffin shining in the sunlight and was struck by Elara's beauty. He listened as the brothers told her story. Deeply moved, he asked permission to carry her to his kingdom so she could be honored. Reluctantly, they agreed. As the coffin was being lifted down the hill, one bearer stumbled over a stone. The sudden jolt dislodged the poisoned fruit from Elara's throat. She gasped and opened her eyes. The brothers shouted with joy. Prince Lucian looked at her in wonder. "You are safe now," he said gently. "Will you come with me?" In time, Elara agreed. She grew to love his kindness and courage. They were married in a grand celebration. Queen Serafini, still unaware that Elara lived, stood before her mirror one last time. Mirror of silver and light, who is the fairest in the land? The mirror answered, "You are beautiful, my queen, but Queen Elara of the Western Kingdom is far more radiant." The truth shattered her pride. Consumed by her own jealousy, she fled the palace and was never seen again. Elara and Prince Lucian ruled with compassion. They never forgot the 7 brothers who had protected her. A grand house was built near the castle for them, and they were honored guests for the rest of their lives. And so, in a kingdom once shadowed by envy, kindness triumphed over cruelty, and light overcame darkness. The girl who had once wandered alone in fear became a queen loved by all, proving that innocence and goodness are stronger than jealousy and pride.